Hello, Henry from Belgium here. Today I'm diving into set 7823, Container Crane Depot from 1986, a gem from the grey 12-volt era. Grey period refers not only to the track sections with metal conducting rails, but also to that unmistakable 80s box art and the industrial town setting. The train's theme is loved worldwide, and clean, complete examples with box and stickers are highly sought after. For really tidy sets, sellers often ask hundreds of euros. Regular viewers know I rarely buy my sets the usual way. This one comes straight from a clear out and a sharp bundle deal. I found it together with 7,839 car transport depot from the same year and 7,838 freight loading depot from 1983. The three form a natural triptych for their time: container handling, car transport, and bulk/general freight handling. Varied in theme and rich in play value. That's exactly why collectors regard them as top-tier sets of the era. The downside of my deal was that several elements were missing, but after some patient part hunting, I've completed the set, and today I can show it to you in all its glory. The box itself is a little gem. On the front, you get a clean, realistic shot of the depot in full action. The sides, and especially the back, show more crisp, realistic photos without feeling busy or shouty. There isn't a full gallery of alternate builds this time. The emphasis is clearly on the many play features. Down at the bottom, there is one fun variation as a nod to what else you can do with the same parts. The packaging is collector-friendly. No tear-open tabs, but a slipcase-style box with an outer sleeve that slides over an inner tray. The size is practical too. The manual sits flat inside without folding, and the baseplate has exactly the space it needs. I don't have to wedge it between the tray and the cover, something older boxes often forced you to do, which inevitably left pressure marks and damage over time. Here everything stays neat, crisp, and easy to store again. The instruction manual is a handy A4 booklet. The cover shows a different action shot, which adds some variety. Beneath that, you get an immediate overview of the minifigures and the very first build, the truck. That continues on to the next page and totals 11 clear steps. On the same pages, you'll also find the wagon in 9 steps, and at the top of page 3, the instructions for the containers. Below that, the 10 main build steps for the depot begin. There are quite a few sub-assemblies in between. And the crane section even has its own separate sequence with multiple steps, which gives the whole process structure and rhythm. The layout is classic 80s, calm, big, clear diagrams, and overall it looks like a challenging, varied, and above all fun build. Altogether, including the minifigures, this set comes to 487 parts. That's a respectable part count, and it makes for a medium-sized build with plenty of variety. I've already sorted everything and checked each element. At its core, this is a build and play set that also works as a clean display piece. If you're not concerned with box, manual, strictly original parts or stickers, you can assemble it loose or buy it incomplete on the secondary market for a relatively friendly price. If you do want to stay period correct, there are a few pieces that are trickier than the standard bricks. You'll want the dark gray sleeper plates with cable grooves for the 12-volt setup, the specific light gray tracks, both the regular straight rails and the 12-volt conducting rails, and the 1x8 plates with door rail that act as running rails for the crane. I also like to have the small ladders, the 2x3 brackets, and the 1x3 bricks that carry the construction stickers lined up from the start. The rest is mainly a broad selection of basic light gray bricks. Just be careful, as always, to use old light gray and not mix in bluish gray. That would break the authentic 1986 color look instantly. Among the red parts, there are a few Technic elements and a couple of printed pieces. You definitely need the red round 2x2 tiles with lifting ring for the containers, and of course the winch with its original thin black cord. The black parts are primarily for building the wagon, so it's important the train-specific pieces are present. the wheel assemblies, buffer beams and magnet couplers, plus the 2 black hoses and the 2 1x8 plates with door rail that serve as the crane's running rails. And above all, the metal hook. It's genuine metal and has a bit of weight to it, appearing in around 10 sets in total. And for me, it's a key piece to keep this build historically accurate. There's a thin black coating on it that can flake with use. Clean, straight examples without wear easily fetch a few euros each. The blue parts are straightforward and easy to source. In my case, the parts of the truck were missing, and, less obvious, the white container parts too. The panels for those containers are the solid stud type that was phased out in the late 1990s. Because I want this to be a clean display piece in my 12-volt world, I specifically looked for non-yellowed white bricks and panels without flaking stickers. That meant hunting Bricklink sellers for crisp panels, and tracking down an original sticker sheet as well. It took a little patience, but I eventually found everything at a budget-friendly price. About 20 euros for the sticker sheet and the panels, which, as a collector, I consider a very sensible investment. By now, I can spot original sticker sheets instantly. There's the correct print on the back, and the paper stock just feels right. That matters a lot to me. I don't use replacement stickers. I always try to source an original sheet or bricks with the original sticker in good condition. There are 2 minifigures in this set. First, the truck driver with a red zip jacket torso, red cap, and black legs. Classic 1980s smiley head with no additional printing. The second is the crane operator, with a blue torso featuring a 6-button print, blue legs, and a red safety helmet. Together they form a sober, industrial duo that fits perfectly with the 1986 color palette. Look for sharp torso prints, clean classic yellow heads, and no cracks in the torso or arm sockets. Examples in nice, untouched condition lift the whole set to display level. And finally, the light gray baseplate. Road 32 by 32. 7 studs straight, with road with green lines and white sidelines pattern. Late 70s sets already used 32 by 32 road plates with different prints and variants, but this version adds the extra lines along the carriageway that create a bicycle lane. That specific print appears only from 1986, and this plate shows up in just 8 sets. My copy is in excellent condition. Crisp corners, a clean old light gray tone with no yellowing, and sharp unfaded printing. I start with the truck. It was completely missing from my set, which gave me the perfect chance to see how easily you can rebuild it yourself. The answer is simple. This is a basic model made from typical 1980s bricks. If you've got a bulk lot from that era, you'll usually put it together without much trouble. The only slightly special piece is the 1x2 grill print brick at the front. It appears in several sets, but the white variant is rarer, which is why it often goes missing in loose lots. For this truck, I deliberately use clean, non-yellowed white bricks from my spares. It doesn't need to look brand new. Light scratches or play wear are fine, but I absolutely don't want mixed degrees of yellowing. The design is straightforward, with those lovely old-school wheels that are so typical of the mid-80s. It reminds me of trucks from later harbor sets, but here it stays sober. Apart from the grill brick and the lights, there's no extra decoration. There's a 4x4 plate underneath that gives it just a bit more presence. So, a robust 1980s build with a clean white and blue palette that carries over into the containers. For the 2 containers, I start with 2 blue 4x8 plates as the base and attach various 1x2 plates underneath. Notably, there are no corner plates used here like you see in later models. Understandable, since the 2x2 corner plate didn't show up until 1987. Next are the 4 white 1x4x3 panels with solid studs and the equally important 4 white 1x2x3 panels. In white and in the solid stud versions, they don't appear in many sets, and when you do find them in bulk lots, they're often so yellowed that you can't clean them up properly. I bought all 8 panels on Bricklink and specifically looked for bright, non-yellowed examples, because together with the stickers, they define the container's look. I also got lucky with the sticker sheet. A seller offered one for about €16, which I consider a fair price to finish the set historically correct. Some collectors will call it sacrilege, but I am going to use the sticker sheet, applied on a dust-free surface, all at the same height and perfectly straight. Each container, besides a few basic 1x4 bricks and a top plate, also gets window frames. They're not hard to find, but you do have to pick the correct variants, since there are differences in wall thickness and design. These frames have outer mounting points for shutters, so I match them with the right shutter pieces. On top of the containers goes the round tile 2x2 with lifting ring. In black it appears in plenty of sets, but in this specific red, it's comparatively scarce, only about 5 sets, so finding 2 clean examples can take a bit of hunting. What I love most here is that there's actual cargo included. So often I have to say the opposite in my videos, but this time you get something to move. Just simple 1x2 bricks without prints, yet the fact that Lego packed in real goods fits a container depot perfectly and adds that little extra play value. The wagon's base is a simple 6x16 plate. No dedicated train under frame. I add a 1x8 plate and several 1x2 plates for strength and height. The train-specific hardware consists of 2 identical sets of 3, a train coupling with pin, a train buffer beam, and a cylindrical magnet. I keep those assemblies intact to avoid wear. That trio is what makes it a real wagon. After a few 1x6 plates and slopes, I fit the small spoked wheel assemblies. They appear in around 20 sets from 1980 to 1987. The detailing is surprisingly realistic, and in black they give the wagon a clean, uniform look that ties in nicely with the rest of the depot. On top I add more plates and the necessary tiles. The placement is deliberate. Small cutouts and subtle height offsets create a platform on which the 2 containers fit exactly. They will sit slightly recessed so they won't slide, and they will stay put while the train is moving. Instead of the classic fence, the designers went with cones, a slightly bolder choice that adds a nice color accent to match the crane's red. Do make sure you use the historically correct variant, the version without a groove. Next come the 2 black hoses, parts that were relatively new at the time, introduced around 1985. Once the containers are in place, the reasoning becomes obvious. The hoses act as flexible guides, running exactly between the shutters. The tolerances are only a few millimeters. Rigid bricks or plates wouldn't have worked, and the containers would snag. The result looks deliberate. Clean black for the wagon, set off by the playful red, white, blue, and the yellow stickers. I start by assembling 2 rows of loose bricks, 2 bricks high, to form the base. On top, I place the black modified plates 1x8 with door rail. They're great here because they create a guide rail for the gantry and trolley to glide along. In this step, I also add 4 track rail straight 16L with slots, the slotted rails that serve as the gantry's runway. These older light gray rails tend to discolor easily. Used can mean many things, so a slight mismatch with the baseplate is normal. If you want them new or unused, you're looking at roughly €5 per rail, and with 8 rails in this set, that felt a bit too expensive. Next come the 2 gantry bogies. I build them twice, identical. I start with regular plates and bricks to form the core, then add the light gray modified plates 1x8 with door rail to create the running surfaces. The design is clever. The grooves slide neatly into each other, so everything runs tight and smooth with no wobble. The wheels line up perfectly on the rail. The tolerances are down to the millimeter. Smartly engineered with exactly the right parts. Next are the crane legs. They look like this. I start from a bracket, also known as a train signal stand. Onto that I attach various plates, bricks, and the necessary Technic bricks. In my case, I make sure the bricks with stickers are oriented the right way. I then place the 4 uprights on the base with the studs facing outward. A nice extra is the mini ladder on the railing. It continues into more mini ladders, forming a small platform from which the minifig can reach the cab. It's a fun, realistic detail you see in very few sets. Next comes another round of puzzling with plates, bricks, and Technic parts to build the horizontal upper arms. These are identical but mirrored. Pay close attention to the placement of the Technic pins and the matching Technic bricks with holes. The grooved rails must face inward, and the slope bricks go at the front. So far, it's been a surprisingly fun build, exactly because there's so much variety. I've already built a truck and a wagon, then that slightly more technical section with the crane base and the guide rails, and now I'm moving on to the cab with the sliding mechanism, hook and winch, which is why I'm diving into a whole bunch of red parts here. The operator's cab is mostly built from basic bricks. I like the straight rear window. Because it's vertical, it leaves a bit more space inside. Neat, too, is the trick of combining a regular window with an inverted window into one frame, topped with the hinged roof. Simple but clever. The mini ladder is, again, a well-chosen detail. Inside, the driver gets a seat and 2 control levers. For the time, these were relatively new parts, and they instantly make the cab feel more realistic. The exterior is a little blocky and minimal in decoration, but that doesn't bother me. It's functional, exactly what you'd expect from a working machine of this era. The second section I'm building is the sliding mechanism that will carry the winch and hook. As I work, I notice it takes quite a lot of parts, and I do wonder whether it really needed to be this complex. I'm not using plates with door rail here. It's a combination of panels, slopes, and basic bricks. It looks big and a bit bulky, but that actually suits the crane's industrial character. You can tell LEGO went for volume and believability rather than a minimalist 2 bricks, a plate, and a winch solution. Finally, be careful when threading the cord and attaching the hook. Follow the prescribed path and secure the line correctly, or the mechanism won't behave as intended. I snap the cab on easily, turning it into a single, cohesive unit. A special mention for the 1x2 grill print bricks. They're the same as on the truck, but here in red, adding that extra industrial accent. Finally, I slide the whole assembly onto the crane frame along the grooves, where it settles cleanly and smoothly into place. I'm now building the final section, the end of the crane frame. It's again a mix of bricks and plates, but what's special here is the integrated hinge mechanism. In the lowered position, this end section completes the top rail, allowing the trolley to run right to the edge for the full working width. In the raised position, the end section swings up, creating clear passage under the crane, useful for very tall loads, or when you integrate this into a harbor scene so boats can pass underneath. Finally, I snap the track together with the light gray rails. It's great that this is included as well. You can drop it straight into your train layout, hook up the wagon, and your container depot is ready to go. A simple step, but exactly the detail that lifts the set from a nice build to a fully fledged play scene. This set feels honest and no nonsense. With around 480 parts, it sounds modest, but thanks to the smart sub-builds and all the functions, it feels like much more. The gantry glides back and forth, the trolley runs left to right, and the winch with a metal hook works firmly and under control. The mini ladders, the clean stickers, and that red against old grey with blue-white containers nail the 1986 vibe. Basic where it can be, a touch of Technic where it needs to be, and it's spot on. After almost 40 years, this set still stands like a rock. It builds logically, it's robust, and it stays fun to use. In my 12-volt train world, it drops in without fuss. Snap in the rails, couple the wagon, roll up the truck, and your container yard is ready to work. As a display piece, it has presence too. Clear colors, purposeful details, and a layout that simply makes sense. In short, build fun that doesn't fade, functions that actually work, a timeless 1986 palette, and a set that convinces today just as much as it did then, both on display and in my 12-volt setup. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. And if you'd like to see more every Sunday, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.